In this video, we are going to be looking at the economic recovery of the Weimar Republic from the years 1924 to 29 and see how they recovered from the events of hyperinflation. So in August 1923, Herbert the President appointed Gustav Stresemann as his new Chancellor and Foreign Secretary. However, Stresemann resigned the chancellorship, so he resigned from being a chancellor in November 1923, but remained the Foreign Secretary until his death in 1929. So Stresemann's most important work was in economic and foreign policy. His aim was to make the political situation in Germany more stable, because he hoped that by stabilizing the economy and regaining respect for Germany in foreign affairs, Germans would feel more content with the Weimar Republic. This way, he hoped to unite the Germans behind moderate political parties and reduce the support for extreme political parties such as the capitalist and communist parties. So the first step Stresemann took in improving the economy was the introduction of the Rentenmark in November 1923. So Stresemann set up a new state-owned bank called the Rentenbank, and this issued the currency, the Rentenmark. And this meant that the supply of notes was strictly limited because the value was tied to the price of gold and they were backed by German industrial plants and agricultural land. This meant that the currency had real value because it was based on something, which meant that people started trusting this Rentenmark. And then in August 1924, a newly independent national bank, the Reichsbank, was given control of this new currency, and therefore the Rentenmark became known as the Reichsmark, and this was backed by Germany's gold reserves. This meant that Germany's money was now trusted at home and abroad, and hyperinflation was at an end because money now gained a real value. And this was a very strong beginning to the recovery of the German businesses and improvements to employment. However, it's important to remember that it could not bring back the losses of those people ruined by hyperinflation, because ultimately all of that had been lost. The Dawes Plan in 1924 was Stresemann's second policy. So Charles Dawes was an American banker, and he had been asked by the Allies to resolve Germany's non-payment of reparations, because remember, Germany could not afford to pay the reparation to these allies because the economy was collapsing. So in April 1924, Stresemann agreed to Dawes' plan, and under this plan, reparations were temporarily reduced to £50 million per year, and the US banks agreed to give loans to German industry. This meant that they loaned $25 billion between 1924 and 1930. So America was now actually helping Germany to pay back their reparations, the compensation that they owed to the Allies. And this plan reassured the Allies that they would get their reparations. And Stresemann had already called off the German workers' passive resistance in the Ruhr. Check out the video for the occupation of the Ruhr for more details on that. So all of this improved the Weimar Republic's economy, and this benefited the working and the middle-class Germans. For example, industrial output had doubled between 1923 and 1928, and employment, trade, and income from taxation also increased. So this politically strengthened the Weimar Republic because they were gaining the support of the German people again, because they were giving them what they wanted: employment, work, money, everything was going well. However, it's important to look at the other side of the story, because the extreme political parties were furious that Germany had again agreed to pay reparations, because they didn't like this idea of paying so much to the Allies. And furthermore, it's important to note that the fragile economy of Germany depended on the American loans. As soon as America stopped lending money to Germany, Germany would collapse. And we see this in the Wall Street crash, which we will explore in later videos. The Young Plan was the final plan which led to the economic recovery of Germany, and this took place in 1929. And the plan was put forward by a committee in August 1929, which was set up by the Allies and was headed by an American banker, Owen Young. So this reduced the reparations from £6.6 billion to only £2 billion, which is a significant reduction in the amount Germany had to pay. And as well as this, Germany was given a further 59 years to pay, which meant that they didn't have to give it in bulk, which meant that they could focus on their own country and building it up again. However, again, as with the Dawes Plan, the extreme political parties were fuming. A particular quote from Hitler said that the extending the length of payment was passing on the penalty to the unborn. So clearly, it wasn't something that was supported by everyone. And there were drawbacks because the annual payments were still £50 million per year, and now they stretched until 1988, and it is a burden at the end of the day because they have to continue paying, continue putting money aside for these reparations. However, it was a sensible measure nonetheless, because lower reparation payments allowed the government to lower taxes on people, and lower taxes meant that German industry boosted and created more jobs. And as well as this, the Young Plan removed the French from the Rhineland, which belonged to Germany, so they got a bit of their land back, and therefore the confidence of the German people was increasing for the Weimar Republic. And so Young Plan was a success for Stresemann, and a referendum held in 1929 proved this, where 35 million Germans were in favor of the Young Plan, about 85% of those who voted. So you can see the amount of work Stresemann put in this, the amount of effort he put in this, and the amount of success he received as a result of it, because ultimately he did stabilize the economy of Germany, which was going downwards if he had not stepped in. I hope this did make sense. If there is any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Subscribe, like, and I will see you in my next video.